everyone. I'm Michelle Smith, the current president of PSALA, if I can get that out, and firm administrator for Jameson Pebble Can 2. This is the 5th session of PSALA's Wellness, the New Professional Priority Series. Today, Darien Fleming will be teaching us about self-regulation and self-management. For those of you who have not attended previously, Darien is an ICF certified coach and trainer who holds a BA and JD from Boston College. She started her career as an attorney at AM Law 100 firms in Boston. Her passion, though, is training attorneys and those who work with them in critical interpersonal skills and also determining, setting, and achieving goals. And for those of you who have attended previously, you're fully aware of that. So she's definitely been giving us and building on the tools that we can use for those goals. I'm looking forward to today's session. Please join me in welcoming Darien.
Thank you, Michelle. Hello, everybody. Really good to be here today with you all again. So the last time we met, we spent a lot of time focusing on self-awareness, and we focused on that positive intelligence stuff. I really hope you were able to practice some of those positive intelligence exercises, do that gratitude journal, conscious acts of kindness, recalling meaningful events. And I hope that now we haven't been together for about a month, so you sort of had that 21 days to form the habit, and that means you're likely forming those new neural pathways, right? So the next logical step in our development is to really focus and pay attention to how we use that self-awareness for our self-management, okay? So self-management is the ability to take our self-awareness around our emotions, around our strengths, around our weaknesses, around those saboteurs, and actively choose how we want to behave, actively choose how we act, okay? So on the surface, self-management is as simple as taking a deep breath and checking in with ourselves. And I gotta say, that's actually a lot of self-management, but there are subtle things you can do every day to really impact what's going on inside of us. So we're gonna talk more about that. Self-management, as I said, requires ample amounts of self-awareness. So what we did last time is something we have to continue to develop and grow so that we can get better at this self-management piece. High levels of self-management are going to ensure that we're not getting in our own way for success, right? That we're able to take actions that serve us, not actions that hurt us. So knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing your saboteurs, then requires the follow-up action, right? So what good is it if you know your strengths, but you're not creating opportunities for yourself to use them? Or you know your saboteur is there, but you don't do anything to silence it, right? You let it take hold anyway. That is not good self-management. So we want to get you to a place where you're taking action around your awareness, and that is self-management. So today we'll cover self-regulation, really focusing on our breath, mindfulness, sort of being in the present moment, growth mindset, and then we're going to end with a little bit of self-care. So let's dig in. We've got about 40 minutes of time together, and we're going to cover a lot. So self-regulation involves controlling your behavior, your emotions, your thoughts. Okay, more pointedly, emotional regulation is ability to manage that impulse response, right? I feel something and then I act. It's stopping yourself from the acting, the impulse response. So the biggest tool in our toolbox is free. It's our breath, okay? It's 100% accessible to us. And we get to focus on breath to help us with self-regulation, impulse control, emotional regulation, okay? So if you're like most people, you are a person who takes shallow, short breaths every minute of every day, okay? The challenge, of course, is that we don't expand our entire diaphragm and fill our lungs with oxygen. And oxygen is what our brain needs in order to function. Our brains actually use up 20% of all of our oxygen supply. And the brain first gives it to the most essential functions. I gotta breathe, I gotta hear, I gotta see, right? And we don't use the oxygen for complex function unless we have enough of it, okay? So all of the oxygen that we take in is going to the baseline functions. If we want to be at our top level of performance, critical thinking, emotional mood control, we have to give ourselves more breath, okay? And so the shallow breath is what is going to create, if you recall, we talked about that reactive mode, right? When we're stressed, we get in that reactive mode and we get, myopically focused, we get anxious, we get, short-sighted, and all of this angst. We don't want that. And breath can help us release that. So I want to be very clear, there are humans who make the study of breath, pranayama, their entire life's work. I am not that person. So I am not an expert in breath like there are people who are, but I have been studying resilience, and I work with my clients on this a lot. So I've done some self-study. If you are a person who wants to know more about our nervous system, Belissa Vranich, Vranich, wrote a book called Breathe, and it talks about our nervous system, and she gives you ideas for breath regulation, because breath not only controls our sort of reducing our emotions, it can give us energy, right? We can manipulate our breath in a really meaningful way to give us what we want in our bodies. Today, we're going to focus on the stress management piece, okay? So I want to give you a tool on breathing that is a little bit more advanced than just deep breathing. You always have access to that. But I want to give you access to a breathing method that actually stimulates our parasympathetic nervous system. That's the system that helps us return to normal, to routine, right? Our sympathetic nervous system is what ignites when we're stressed, and it gets us ready for stress related activities, right? And that's when we feel all hyped up. So Nadi Shodhana is what it's called, alternate nostril breathing. And when we use this technique, we actually reduce our blood pressure and we create a sense of calm because that parasympathetic nervous system is ignited. So it's very simple. We breathe in by plugging one nostril, and we breathe out, plugging the other nostril. And we do that back and forth, in and out. Do it with me. In and out. In and out. I already feel calmer. And you probably do too. I do this training in person, and when I do it in person and we're all in offices, I will suggest you go to the restroom when you're all hyped up to do it, because sitting at your desk doing that, you might get some stares, but it's a really useful tool. And now you can turn off your videos, right? You can do it right at your desk, and I promise you it's going to help you achieve a level of calm pretty close to immediately, right? We get back to center and in the present moment. And really, that is what self-management is all about. Stepping into our center and being present in the moment, okay? So it's stepping into mindfulness. Here's our biggest challenge. When we're stressed, we have our neural pathways firing, right? We're going 100 miles per hour down that negative neural pathway. We talked about this last time, our negativity bias. And boy, it's just like a car on a highway, and boom, 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 we're going super, super fast. And it's really hard to get to something positive, to do something good when we're going down that negativity path at 100 miles per hour, right? How do we just say, don't be stressed? Doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. So we have to slow down the vehicle. Have you ever tried to take an exit at 65 miles per hour? it's almost impossible. You nearly flip your car, right? You have to slow down. So mindfulness is the tool for slowing down the car that's going 100 miles per hour. Once we can slow down, we can then see more clearly. We can get out of reactive mode, okay? So truth be told, I never really understood what people were talking about when they were talking about mindfulness. Like, I'm not really good at meditation. It's not where I shine, right? And I know that that's a piece of mindfulness. And so I just kind of put it aside because I was like, I can't do this stuff. This isn't going to work for me. But really, mindfulness is really just about being in the present moment. So how do we do that? How do we get present fast? We tune into one of our five senses, okay? Tuning into one of our five senses. So it's looking, right? Looking at an intense object. What do I notice? It's smelling, it's hearing. What do I hear? What's the furthest away sound I can hear? What's the closest? My own breath. What is it that we smell? It's literally sticking our nose into something in front of us. I've got a plant on my desk, putting my nose in my plant and smelling the soil. Does my water smell like anything? Right? Smelling. Our touch. What do we feel? It's rubbing our two fingertips together and seeing if we can actually feel the fingerprint, each line, or feeling the seam on our jeans. What does that feel like? And it's taste, right? Actually eating something and paying attention to what it tastes like, not doing it automatically. This is how we tune in that fast. For me, just for me, this might not be true for you. Listening is the easiest way for me to get present. Because when I listen, I'm almost never thinking. I truly am trying to hear what I hear. So try it. Okay, try any one of these. It's going to bring you back to center. Another tool in your toolbox is something we all learned in kindergarten, learning to count to 10, right? Our teacher said, calm down, count to 10. It's really incorporating breath and counting to 10. So breathing in, 1, breathing in, 2, and so on, okay? I find breath is hard to access when I am stressed. I say to myself, Darien, calm down, and I'm still, right? So to me, leaning into my senses is an easier tool for me to access mindfulness than is this. This might be the tool for you. The key is we want you to be able to get centered quickly so you don't have impulse, right? You don't act on impulse. You act the way you want to act, not the way your body is triggered to react, okay? So we know that mindfulness has all sorts of benefits, and those who practice mindfulness daily really are the more resilient of us. And so there's a mindfulness practice. These tools I just told you are not mindfulness practices as much as they are to get us out of our impulse, right? To get us out of reactive mode. Body scanning is a wonderful way to incorporate mindfulness. If you are not a person who is able to meditate, and I'm telling you right now, I have tried, I can for maybe 5 or 6 minutes. I've taken endless courses on this, and it's still not something I'm very good at. Body scanning is a tool that I can access to get mindful. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it together. I'm going to lead you through it. I'm going to give you the script right now. And you can do this for yourself at any time. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to close your eyes, and I just want you to breathe in, just a normal breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Put your feet on the floor. Okay, sit up in your chair. Put your back against the back of the chair. Take a deeper breath in, breathing in, and just releasing the breath into your body. Okay. Feel that oxygen going throughout your body. Notice your feet on the floor. Notice the sensations, the weight, the pressure, the temperature. Move your way up through your legs. What do you feel on your legs? Are they heavy? Are they light? Are they pressing against your chair? Just notice. Feel your back on your chair. Release any tension that might exist. Move to your tummy. If it's clenched and tight, let it go. Notice your hands on your lap. If there's tension there, release it. Moving your way up your arms, through your shoulders. If your shoulders are at your ears, drop them down. Let them relax. Go to your throat, your neck. Relax. Soften your jaw and your facial muscles. Here you are, present with your body. Right? Just noticing what you notice, the sensations of your body. Take a deep breath in, acknowledging your body, and just releasing that breath. And when you're ready, you can just open your eyes. Right? That took us about 90 seconds. 90 seconds to pay attention to our bodies, to get in the present moment, okay? We know that when we can do that more frequently, we are not going to be in a position where we are making choices that do not serve us, okay? This is the whole purpose of these sorts of activities, self-management. So you're not in reactive mode. You're calm enough to make wise decisions, okay? So this is a tool in your toolbox you can try. There are tons and tons of apps that help people do this. If you want a voice telling you how to do your body scan, I promise you, there are tons of free apps that you can do this with, okay? So we're going to move on to growth mindset, because an essential piece of self-management is our mind. We've spent a lot of time on the mind the last couple of sessions, right? We spent almost the entire time on the mind when we talked about self-awareness. We talked about that negativity bias, right? We talked about positive intelligence. The mind is the most powerful thing we have. And we want to be more in control of our mind than just letting it wander free. Growth mindset is a way to do that. So you've probably heard of the word growth mindset, but you might not actually know what it means. So mindset is defined by Carol Dweck. She's a psychologist. And she says mindset is either fixed or growth. Okay. And those who believe that our mindset is fixed believe that our intelligence and our skills are created at birth. We're born with it, can't change it. Okay. And those who have growth mindset believe that we can learn and grow new abilities and grow new skills. Okay. This distinction is really important because individuals with fixed mindset generally are trying to prove their natural talents and abilities, right? They show up trying to prove that they have a level of intelligence. Those with fixed mindset generally show up trying to show their desire to learn. Okay, I have a lot to learn here and I want to show you that. So we're going to take a little time. We're going to see what kind of mindset you have. So Lisa was able to post in the chat the mindset assessment. I'm going to tell you, it's going to take you 5 minutes. It's going to take you about 2 minutes to do the assessment and 3 minutes to score yourself. So I'm just going to be quiet as you take the mindset assessment that's in the chat feature. Okay, let's figure out where you stand. No assessment here. Okay, I'm gonna reattach it. I see it. I see no, not worry, no worries. Let's see. Do you see it now? Everyone see it now? Great. Awesome. So about 1 more minute. Okay, I'm going to assume that most people are done. And if not, you have access to this, and you can tally up your score afterwards. So here's full disclosure. When I first took this a couple of years ago, I had a really fixed mindset. I was in the second box. Okay. And you might find that hard to believe because I show up pretty positive, right? A lot of optimism. I'm a coach, for goodness sake. I believe everybody can change. But I didn't apply my growth mindset uh, about others to myself. Very fixed mindset. And over the last couple of years, I have worked very hard to transition from fixed mindset to growth mindset because it is so important today in particular to have a growth mindset. Our world is changing so rapidly, right? The norms that we expect are changing. Everything keeps moving and we have to adjust. And if we don't adjust, we're not going to be in a position to succeed, right? To excel. So growth mindset is really critical in this day and age. Okay. And the two different mindsets, really growth mindset, fixed mindset, create different behavior and ultimately different results. So they did multiple studies, and one of my favorite studies is about students who thought they had growth mindset. They decided, boy, I can learn, I can grow new skills. And over time, their grades continued to increase. And the students who had a fixed mindset, who believed that they were born with their level of intelligence, they couldn't acquire new skills, new knowledge, not only did their grades not increase, their grades decreased, right? So totally different results when we have growth mindset, right? These two different mindsets really mean that we think differently and we react to information differently. So in our world, as people who are performers and we get performance feedback, if you have fixed mindset, your brain is going to be stimulated when you hear how well you did on something, okay? If you have fixed mindset, your brain is going to be stimulated when someone tells you what you can do to improve. Okay, notice the different approach. How well did I do versus what can I do better next time? One is about how we're perceived. The other is about how we can learn and grow. And you can understand that one is a lot better for the future, right? I'll be able to continue to shift and grow, and that's going to set me up for success going forward. So by changing your thinking, you can change the way you learn and really experience life, okay? So I love the story of the tortoise and the hare because it's an awesome example of growth mindset. So you might remember the story, tortoise and hare go on a race and the hare says, okay, I'm just going to take a little rest here. I'm going to take a little nap during this race and I'm going to fall asleep. And what does the tortoise do? The tortoise just keeps plodding along, keeps going, always thinking he can win, right? And the hare wakes up and he sees the tortoise just fly, plodding along, and he runs and runs and runs, but he can't catch up. It's too late. The tortoise has won. The hare has a fixed mindset, right? He believed that his innate ability would always allow him to win no matter what he did. The tortoise is the one with the fixed mindset, the growth mindset. He believed all he needed to do was work hard, keep at it, keep plodding along, and he would win, right? He wasn't afraid of failure, or he wouldn't have accepted the race in the first place. So we have a lot to learn from the tortoise, right? Hard work, keeping at it, keeping growing is going to lead to success. That's growth mindset. So I appreciate having tried to go from fixed mindset to growth mindset, how difficult it is. This is not an easy task. We know it's important. We know it's going to lead to better life experience. We understand that we can have a better experience if we're not fearing embarrassment or judgment from others. All of that's great. Well, how do I do it? Right? How do I move, make that shift? So We really have to change our perspective. We have to really change our way of thinking. And that is hard to do. It requires self-management, right? So the first tool we're going to talk about is the PPP to the CCC. Okay. It's all about pessimistic mind thinking to optimistic thinking. Okay. Pessimism is a fixture of fixed mindset. So what do the PPP stand for? The PPP stands for prevalent, permanent, and personal. Okay. It's like this everywhere. It's never going to change. This always happens to me, right? You can hear the pessimism. You can hear the fixed mindset. So this was created by Marty Seligman, doctor. He's also a psychologist. He was a self-professed pessimist and decided to study optimism, right? And so through his optimism research, he says you can actually get yourself out of this pessimistic thinking. So it might be you, it might be a colleague, it might be someone you work with. They always have this PPP way of being. We can help them get to positive way of thinking, okay? Through the CCC. So the CCC stands for challenge, choice, and commitments. We ask ourselves 3 questions. What's the challenge in this situation? What can I rise to? What can I tackle? Okay. What are the choices that I have in this situation? And what am I committed to? No matter how bad this is, what are my values? What really matters to me in all of this? So let me give you an example. Give you an example about my mama. Okay, she is living in Northern California. She's had a primary care doctor for the last 20 years. Okay, and she loved her primary care. Well, primary care retires. So she's 75 and she's distraught. Now, what am I going to do to have a primary care? This is about 2 years ago. Okay, a year and a half ago. And she says to me, I'm never going to be able to find a primary care practitioner. Nobody has room for me. Nobody is taking new clients. And then she'd get an appointment with a doctor. And then she'd say, well, I don't like that doctor. That doctor's affect is wrong. They're not a good doctor. Right. And then if she'd find a doctor that she actually liked, she would say to me, no, that staff, I don't want to deal with that staff. I can't be making appointments with these people. They're not kind people. Right. At every turn, she was PPP. And I would hear her say to me, there are no good doctors anymore. All my friends still have their primary care physicians. It's always going to happen to me. They always leave me, right? Never has happened to her before, but she was really into the PPP. I'm going to say it's not good practice to coach your family, but I did. Okay, I did in this instance. And I said, you know, Mom, I want you to have a good primary care physician. So what's the challenge in front of you, Ma? What is it? She said, I just want to find a doctor I can trust. And I said, what a beautiful goal. Let's go after that. Let's get as many appointments as possible to find somebody you can trust. Right? It's a great goal. She kind of got recharged around finding this primary care. And then I said, what choices do you have, Mom, in choosing your primary care? And she said, well, I haven't really told the doctors what I want. I haven't really been pretty open with my doctors. I've been pretty closed. And I have been pretty prickly with the staff. So they're probably treating me not so well, right? So she's a choice in the way she shows up for her doctor and the way she shows up with the staff. And then I said, Mom, what are you committed to? What do you want here? And she said, I just want to have a good relationship with my doctor. I'm getting old. I need someone that I can talk to, call regularly when I have my growing aches and pains, right? So she needed to be open. She was committed to being open and asking for what she needed from her doctor. And I'm telling you, we had this conversation. It was long and it was hard, but she found a primary care. Dr. Martinez is her gal. Okay, she's had Dr. Martinez for 9 months, and now all I hear is, I am so grateful I found her. I can't believe I found her. She's wonderful, right? So we switched that pessimistic thinking that was happening for over a year, and we got her into challenge, choice, and commitments, and she was able to move from fixed to growth mindset. This is a tool in your toolbox for yourself and for people around you, okay? And for people around you. So I want you to read this quote. We're gonna talk about automatic thinking, okay? Automatic thinking does not allow space, okay? When we have automatic thinking, our response comes immediately. And we need to take space in order to create growth mindset, okay? So here's what generally happens. Something happens, we have a thought about it, and then we respond, right? Boom, boom, boom. That happens within a second. But what if our thoughts, the middle piece, are not helpful? What if they're fixed mindset thoughts? What if they're saboteur thoughts? What if they're all the negativity bias thoughts that we have? Then our response isn't going to be so great, right? We need to interrupt the thinking. This is how we begin to get to growth mindset, by interrupting the process of our thinking. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a quick scenario. Let's say you recently turned in a report to your manager. You worked on it really hard. You were really excited about it. And you come back into the office the next day and you have an email in your inbox and she has pointed out an error. Okay. So your initial thought is, I'm so stupid. Why didn't I take more time to review that? I'm so angry at myself. Why can't I do anything right? I never get it perfectly, right? This is our event and our automatic thinking, okay? Stop. We need you to then stop, okay? I want you to take a step back, and I want you to get into mindfulness. Listen for the furthest away sound. Count to 10. Reflect on the situation, okay? Your boss pointed out an error. Does that really make you stupid? Does the error undo all of the hard work that you put in, right? You then step into reframe. And when we reframe, we need to turn those judgment phrases into factual statements, okay? I'm not stupid. I made a mistake. My boss caught an error and I can fix it, right? Factual statements. We remove the always and the never statements because nothing is always and never, right? Nothing. And then we put on our positivity lenses. We might need to step into being someone we know is super positive and we say, okay, I'm going to be her for a second, or I'm going to be him for a second. Whatever it is, you step into some positivity lens, okay? And then you look at the situation again. Okay, so I could have done a better job editing. Fact, right? My manager found an error. Fact. The whole purpose of me sending it to my manager was for her to catch errors. It hasn't gone to the client yet. Woo! I can fix this, right? And it's going to be better and perfect when I send it because there have been multiple eyes on it, right? Then we respond rather than responding, oh, I'm so terrible, shame on me, or blaming somebody else, that immediate response, right? We're simply going to say, hey, thanks for catching the error. I've revised the report and now it's perfect and ready to send to the client, right? This is how we manage around our automatic thinking. You have to stop. You have to get mindful. You have to reframe in a positive way so that you don't just automatically respond the way your neural pathway wants you to, okay? This is all growth mindset. In order to have good self-management, the whole purpose here, we're talking about taking actions that serve you well, right? That's good self-management. So we're going to end with self-care. Everything we've talked about up to this point has been really reactive self-management. What do I do in the moment, right? I don't want my emotions to take control. I want to pause and I want to be thoughtful about my response. Self-care is proactive, okay? It's the proactive piece of self-management. This is a wellness series. We're talking about wellness because there isn't a lot of that going on right now. I've got clients who haven't taken a vacation in 11 months, right? We have no separation between work and home. So we're focusing on this because it matters. If you've attended any of my sessions so far, you'll see there's one common thread, and that is being more intentional about the things that matter, right? Intentionality covers everything that we've talked about: time management, self-awareness, self-management. It's all about bringing it to our consciousness so that we can make better choices, right? The same is true for self-care. If we want better self-care, and I imagine all of us do, we need to be intentional about making it happen. It's not going to happen on its own. So I throw this up here. This is what self-care can look like, right? I could have put 100 boxes of things that equal self-care. The idea is whatever it is for you, give it to yourself. The two key aspects for making self-care come to life are really allowing the intention, setting it, I'm going to do this, and then removing the barriers. So if you're a person who is an art person, don't keep your art supplies in a box. Put them on the table, right? Keep your craft table out so that it's easily accessible. If you're a person who just wants to have candles, buy the candles. Keep the matches right by the candles so that they're easy to light, right? Remove the barriers. For most of us, time is the barrier. I don't have the time. We have to make the time. If you set the intention too large, I want an hour of self-care a day, it's unlikely to happen. The research shows if you give yourself 10 minutes of self-care, it will help you be more resilient. It will help you not be on the precipice of needing to get mindful in the moment because your emotions are so raw, right? We won't get to that point if we practice some self-care. So my suggestion is you put it on your calendar, 10 minutes, and you treat it as an appointment with a client. You treat it as unmovable so that you practice whatever it is, the walk, the connecting with a friend, listening to music for 10 minutes, whatever it is, you make time for it. So if you take nothing else away from today, it's that self-care is the proactive way you can self-manage. And we will have to do less of in the moment self-management if you can build some good habits around your own self-care. So with that, boy, I'm right on the nose, 12:45. So I'm going to open it up for questions as always, and I will stay on until if anyone has any questions. I'm here. Quiet group today. This is not the end of the series. No, we are going to do 2 more sessions. And I think Michelle's going to report on that. Yeah.
Yes. And I also have a question. When you do the breathing where you plug one side of the nose and the other, about how many breaths do you suggest taking?
So you'll know when your body starts to decrease. I mean, you will feel it. It takes less than 30 seconds. Okay. The more you do it, like the longer you do it, the calmer you will be. Okay. So if you can commit to a longer, great. You really only need 30 seconds.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Darien, do you have any specific recommendations reading for, you talked just recently about, that intentionality, setting the intention and removing the barriers, is there any, not to put you on the spot, is there any particular book or resource that you
Yeah.
have found really helpful in guiding yourself or guiding the clients that you coach through that process? Because it is a process.
It is a process. And you know, so my favorite book on this is really that positive intelligence book I mentioned last time, because it includes the mindfulness activities, the, you know, getting present really quickly, and really talks about that positive and negative mind, the sage mind and the saboteur mind. And so for me, that's a lot of the work that I've done. You know, I think you'll find there are a lot of people writing on this. And you can, you know, pull up lots of books. You know, I'm happy to tell you if I like the author or not, because I think that there are some people who pretend like they know this stuff, you know, and the truth is, all of us are just trying to make mindfulness accessible. So it might resonate with you because a person says it in a certain way. But you know, it's not that complex of a topic. So lots of people are writing on it because they know they've accessed mindfulness in their way. Does that resonate?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, well, I'm going to close out. I don't know if Darien, will you stay on a bit?
Of course.
Necessary? Okay. I want to thank everyone for attending. Thank you, Darien. These sessions have been so enjoyable and we get to look forward to more. If you would like a recording of today's session, please reach out to Melissa at AMI. We've been recording all of these with Darien and most of our other presenters as well. Melissa's contact information is on the registration emails. Next, be on the lookout for the registration for our upcoming session on February 17th with Jarrett Green. Jarrett will be giving us some good news about how we can turn our coronavirus stress into personal growth. Darien will also be back with us on March 4th for part 4 of her series on self-care. Everyone stay safe and healthy and take some time for your self-care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darien. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you.